So I was back at work for the company that still owned me.
Apple TV has had sci-fi hits with shows like Foundation, Dark Matter and Silo. There's also been strong comedy performances from Ted Lasso, The Morning Show and Shrinking. So I guess it was only time before Apple decided to splice the genres together and do its own sci-fi comedy. Which, when you think about it, isn't an easy nut to crack, because for every Red Dwarf or The Orville, there's a dozen shows that either don't land with fans or never even make it off the ground in the first place. But that's exactly what Apple TV is trying to do with its new show, Murderbot. Dropping the first 2 episodes already, this show tells the story of a robot who's broken his programming and isn't really sure how he fits into things now that he's got his own free will. But before we get into that, I just want to say thanks for taking the time to choose to watch this channel. I really appreciate it, and if you haven't done it already, hit subscribe and leave a like if you make it all the way to the end of the video. So Alexander Skarsgard stars as the show's title character, aka the Murderbot, a name that he comes up with himself after hacking the unit that governs him and gaining free will on a human mining colony.
On mining expedition 115-24 TTX. Time to party.
The pilot starts just as Murderbot, or Secure Unit as he's known to the rest of the characters in the show, has gained his freedom while protecting miners on some off-world colony. But there's just one catch. Although he can now think for himself, he can't let the other humans he serves know, as this is going to result in his immediate destruction.
The moment they figured out I was rogue, they would track me down and liquidate my organic material.
After breaking, the Governor Unit, Seg Unit, is assigned to a team of scientists going to an off-world trip, and he's just there to protect them on behalf of the insurance company, making sure they don't need to fork out in case any of the members of the party die. Now, these episodes are very short, which I think is a little bit unusual for Apple, but it is a comedy, so I get why you can't really get hour-long episodes out of this. And we don't really get a lot of world building yet because of that, but also because it's only the first 2 episodes and they're still setting this show up. But these first 2 openers set up exactly what is going on and how the Murderbot fits into this. After arriving on the planet with the scientists, Murderbot, or Seg Unit, does what all of us do with our freedom and free will and decides to watch too much TV now he has access. He's a particular fan of a sci-fi soap opera called Sanctuary Moon, which he sort of uses to model his behaviour on when interacting with people, and it's a little bit awkward situations that he's not familiar with. While on guard, one day he manages to save 2 of the scientists after being attacked by a creature on the planet, and which, if you ask me, from start to finish is a pretty spectacular scene, and the only real action spectacle in these first 2 episodes. And I keep saying this because it's true, but Apple shows just look better than most, and this one fits right in with the rest of them. After beating the creature but being damaged himself, Seg Unit has to get the scientists back to safety and decides to reveal his face to one of them who's in shock after the attack in order to help calm them down. Although he's got years of experience with humans, he's never had to try and reassure them before, as it's not part of his programming. So he riffs on a scene that he watched on Sanctuary Moon in order to calm them down. Once back at the base camp, the rest of the team are pretty surprised about the creature attack and realise they may not have all the information on what's going on this planet. Coupled with the fact that one of the team, Dr. Graffin, an augmented human played by the amazingly solid and always enjoyable David Dastmalchian, is suspicious about the Seg Unit's new behaviour. Realising quickly that not only has he revealed his face, he's tried to calm a human down, this sets alarm bells ringing automatically. Because they don't specifically say it or give examples in these first 2 episodes, but it's heavily indicated that these robots can and do malfunction, resulting in human deaths. So he always has to have a very close eye on what the robot is up to and confronts him directly about it as well. As I said, Murderbot has spent his entire life in service to humans and doesn't really like them. He's not really been mistreated and doesn't really see himself as like a victim or a victim of bullying or being a slave or something like that. It's just more that he's forced to be in this situation because he can't just walk out the door even though he might want to. As he also points out, he can't even kill them if he wants to do that either, because even if he did, he'd still be stuck on a planet in the middle of nowhere with no way to get off. But the unmasked bot does struggle to fit in, as he no longer has to obey humans, he just has to play along obeying them. And it's his hacked programming means he's free to disagree with them as well, as long as it doesn't really stand out and he's not too confrontational about it. It seems from the opening 2 episodes, the premise of the show is the outsider trying to fit in and probably find his way along the road. Bits of it, especially the narration and the observation of the humans, really reminded me a lot of the show Resident Alien, which I think is on Sci-Fi in the US as well, and is another, of course, sci-fi comedy show. That's not to say that this is repeating anything there, it's just a sort of fish out of water observing humanity, which I think is a really interesting take, and you can see why writers always go back to it. You can hear all of Murderbot's dark thoughts, but he doesn't really seem to have any desire at this point to harm anyone, as he'd rather just remain undetected. The overall mystery here seems to be that the science team were lied to by the company that sent them to the planet. For what reason yet, we don't really know. It also seems that Murderbot may have lived up to his new name previously, as we see flashbacks of memories that he has that have been wiped, and he seems to be involved, or at least observing, some sort of massacre. Now, Alexander Skarsgard is an actor that I've liked for ages, going all the way back to True Blood. While not every film or TV show he does I like, he's an actor that I always enjoy watching, and it's exactly the same with David Dastmalchian. The second episode of this is mostly these 2 characters bouncing off each other, with the Doctor trying to find out exactly what's going on with the SEG unit, aka Murderbot, and what he's hiding. It is 2 short episodes, as I said, and while the story and the characters aren't fully developed yet, this was a really fun 2-part opening. The first is all the setup and introducing the Murderbot character, and the second episode, like I said, is mostly a back and forth between Murderbot and Dr. Garaffian. I really enjoyed this show, and I've got to be honest, I wasn't expecting to. As I said at the start of the video, sci-fi comedy is hard to pull off, which is why we don't get a lot of it. But for fans of it, if you do like the genre, I'd say stick with it, because it seems at least so far so good. And in a world of recognisable IP, reboots, repeats, sequels and so on and so forth, it's nice to watch something new in a world that's developing in front of us that we've not really seen before. Skarsgard gives a great performance as the main character, and how he has to hide his contempt for the humans around him is played really well. In fact, all the humour comes from him in these first 2 episodes at least. With a world that they can easily expand on and Apple money to make it happen, I'm definitely looking forward to see what this show can do and how it does it as well. We'll only get a very rough idea of what the bigger picture might be, as the second episode ends on a cliffhanger, with the scientists reaching out to another team on the planet to find out if they know what's going on, and for the camera to cut, realising that everyone in their base, including their SEG unit, has been murdered. So what killed them, what's on the planet, and why is it being covered up are all the big questions going forward over the overarching plot. But of course the main focus is going to be the Murderbot, aka the SEG unit, how he fits in and how that reveal happens as well. What are these humans and scientists going to do when they find out the machine that's there to protect them, it actually has its own free will and they're unable to control it? Now, the review's a little shorter than usual because it is a comedy show. There's not a really lot of big talking points to go on here, so I really want to hear what you guys think of Murderbot. Have you watched the 2 first episodes? Do you like it? Are you going to stick with it, or is it not really for you? Let me know what you think in the comments, because, as I said, comedy sci-fi is hard to do. I can only really think of about 3 shows off the top of my head, and that's Avenue 9, The Orville and Red Dwarf, that really pull it off and do it well. Mostly sci-fi comedy is sort of stuck, or works better, I should say, in the animated format, but I'm really interested to see what this show is going to do and what this show is going to show us with regard to the world that the character of Murderbot and the human scientists exist in. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going to be reviewing every episode of Murderbot, and of course we've got Foundation to look forward to as well. I've just rewatched the first 2 seasons of that, and I'm going to do a trailer breakdown of the trailer that dropped last week, so make sure you subscribe and you've got the notifications turned on so you don't miss it. As always, leave a like if you've made it this far, and my name's Al. Thanks for watching.